Yo, 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 yo. What it is, everybody. Y'all know who it is. Y'all already know what it is. It's your man, Romeo, a.k.a. Bailey Joe, coming at you with another slick little video. From the cockpit, though. You know what I mean? Rolling down this highway. Doing it my way. Like Burger King. You know what I mean? But yo, check it out, man. Some I would say some landmark legislation was passed today. Well, yesterday or whenever it was, recently, in Texas, to where teachers are no longer required to tell students that the KKK was bad or that they were morally wrong. So they don't want the students in Texas to know that the KKK was a treacherous, murderous, rapist organization, lying, thieving organization. And they also don't want, of course, it's got to do with this critical race theory shit, whatever that means. But hey y'all, like your boy got poison ivy, so I got calamine lotion all on me. So don't even mind all that. Mind your business. But yeah, man. So basically, they don't want their and they don't want the children to be taught about eugenics, which was a program that targeted black women and fertility, the fertility of black women. Basically, they wanted as least black kids being born as possible. It was an organization. Well, it was a movement started by Margaret Sanger, who was also the founder of Planned Parenthood. Go figure. But yeah, so they don't want eugenics being taught. They don't want the Tuskegee experiment being taught. And if you don't know what that is, shame on you. If you don't know what the Tuskegee experiment is, and if you're over 30 years old, then you ought to be ashamed of yourself. You ought to be ashamed of any of real American history nowadays, because information is so readily available everywhere, man. You know what I mean? Yeah, so in Texas, they don't want their, what I think is happening is these kids, well, now you have information everywhere with technology. So the information that they've been whitewashing for the past 100, 200, for the past 100 years or whatever, it's all coming out. See, you don't have to go to the library anymore to find out just how treacherous the forefathers of this country were, and how treacherous some of them still are. So all of this trying to block critical race theory, and them in Texas, them passing these bills to where the real history can't be taught in school. It's an effort to keep the information out of the hands of their children, because, well, now their children are learning just that their forefathers and their great-grandfathers, great-great-grandfathers weren't the great men they were told they were. They're finding out that their forefathers were the equivalent of what we would call monsters today. All the atrocities that they visited on the slaves, and then not even just about slavery. Let's talk about the 100 years of Jim Crow segregation laws. Damn, this sun is really fucking with me. Can't hardly see me. I can't hardly see my beautiful self. But yeah, man, they don't want their descendants to know how truly evil they were. I mean, evil, diabolical, despicable people. I mean, all these monuments and statues and bridges and schools and streets, and named after these monsters of men, like Mount Rushmore, General Lee, these statues of George Washington, these statues of Thomas Jefferson, all of these men that we were told were great men, honorable men, were all a bunch of lying, thieving, murderous rapists. They weren't great men. They weren't honorable men. And they used a whole race of people to build this country's wealth with, and didn't pay them, and haven't paid their descendants. You got the descendants of the Cotton families, the Rice families, the what other commodities were big? Cotton was the top, but then you had tobacco, rice, and sugar. So the descendants of those companies, corporations, their descendants are still living and eating real good off of the backs of 250 years of African slavery. Yet they haven't compensated the descendants of the slaves that did the work, that made these companies, fortunes, that made this country the financial leader of the world. That was done off of African slavery. Cotton was the biggest commodity. So all of this information is coming, and just the pure treachery of the KKK and the lynching laws, the 100 years of segregation and the lynching laws. And they don't, the issue with part of the issue with the KKK is a lot of those guys were real prominent people. See, they want you to believe that the KKK was a bunch of toothless hillbillies, and that's the furthest thing from the truth. A lot of those KKK members were prominent men in their societies. They were bankers, they were doctors, they were lawyers, they were politicians, they were mayors, they were sheriffs, they were police officers, they were prominent people. A lot of them were prominent people. So all of this knowledge and all this information is coming out now, and their descendants, their great grandkids and grandkids and great great grandkids are now finding out the truth about their families, and they're finding out the truth about these men, that these men weren't, like I said, the great honorable men that they were told. They were liars, they were rapists, they were murderers, they were thieves, they committed every atrocity known to God against African slaves and other people, but African slaves mostly. And then after slavery was over, we had 100 years of segregation where black people couldn't even vote, but still had to pay the same taxes as white people. Had to sit at the back of the bus, even though paid the same fare as white people. So we couldn't vote. We didn't get this. We didn't get the same benefit from our taxes that white citizens did. So if you ask me, they owe reparations for slavery, and they owe reparations for the Jim Crow period too, because that's taxation without representation. So yeah, man, Texas is on some bullshit, and I can pretty much guarantee you that they aren't the only ones that are going to be trying to pass this type of legislation. They're trying to whitewash history. This history is coming back to haunt them, and they're trying to do everything within their power to keep it at bay, but it's not gonna work, man. Too many people know the truth now, and their grandkids is, I mean, because I'd say I'd say my generation, I'm almost 52 years old, so my generation, the generation before mine, which is my mother's generation, and probably in my grandmother's generation also, you know, they made black people out to be inherent criminals, and pretty much we were stupid. We were naturally, well, we were inherent criminals, and we were naturally intellectually inferior to white people. So they ran with that lie, and they went out of their way to cause conditions that would align with those lies, so they could so they made their basically it was a media campaign. It was a campaign like Hitler did to the masses of Germans to make the Jews out to be bad people, inherently bad people, inherently evil people. So they ran the media campaign first. So when Hitler decided to start slaughtering the Jewish people, the masses were on board. The masses were on board with it because they had been indoctrinated to believe these people were evil. So the media campaign that was waged against black people in the United States, it was done the same way. So you make the masses believe that these people are intellectually inferior, basically meaning you're stupid, you're dumb. So that's the reason why they have lower paying jobs. That's the reason they live in poverty. Those are the reasons that they don't succeed in school. So, but they hide behind the fact that the government went out of its way to ensure that these people in fact ended up in poverty, ended up with lower education, or well, ended up with subpar education and lower paying jobs and things of this nature. So damn, I forgot my point. But anyway, man, I'm on this highway rolling and paying attention to traffic and watching people watching me making this video. But yeah, so these kids are asking questions, man. These kids are wanting to know, like, damn, we thought we were really superior. We thought we were really smarter than them.